Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here today and spending some time with us to learn not only about us, but about our scholarship fund and how climate tech can help you ascend in your careers. My name is Alejandra Castillo. I go by Alex, and I'm the Senior Associate of Career Pathways for the Tech and Innovation team at dream.org. I'll be getting us started today by going over our agenda. So here we are at the introduction and agenda review, but soon after, we'll be going into our session objectives, mission, and the history of how the tech program came to be. We will then have some of our tech team members say hello, get to know them a little during our introductions. Then we will be getting into the scholarship portion of the presentation, which includes an overview, a highlight of the benefits, definitions of climate tech and what the IRA is, eligibility, qualities, and what we look for in an application. Right after, you will all hear from one of our very own scholarship recipients, Edward Diaz, who was awarded last cycle and will share some of his story, goals, and tips for a strong application. I'll then be spending some time reviewing the timeline and highlighting some of our resources. We will then hear from Emmanuel, who will take us into highlighting career pathways and three of our featured tech accelerator partners to whom you can apply the scholarship award towards. Emmanuel will then introduce one of many special guests today, Green Jobs Network CEO Leonard Adler. You won't want to miss hearing about his expertise in this field. We really appreciate you, Leonard, for sharing your knowledge today. We will then have our third and final guest speaker, Yuri, our national organizer, spotlight organizing opportunities within dream.org. Then the grand finale. We'll end with some time for Q&A. Now, we want to ensure we clarify or answer anything you may have for us. So don't forget to write your questions down as we'll definitely have time in the end for answers, all right? So please be sure that you are muted, and we encourage having your camera on if possible. All right, awesome. Let's get into it. So the objectives today are really to get to know more about the scholarship fund, its benefits, and if you are eligible. We will also review important dates and focus on the tips for submitting an application that stands out, among others. Now, our Tech and Innovation team's mission is to break down barriers and provide underrepresented communities with opportunities, trainings, and tools they need to become trailblazers in evolving sectors like tech and climate. We are striving to establish diverse talent that will transform these sectors, fostering a culture of innovation, equity, and sustainability. We really want to be able to see ourselves as Black and Brown individuals being represented in these sectors. Next slide, please. Now, here's a little bit of background on tech and how we came to be. So we were actually founded in 2014 after the Trayvon Martin murder. Our founders, Van Jones and the legendary Prince, were having a conversation when Prince asked, "Why is it that when a Black man wears a hoodie, he's considered a thug, but when a white man wears a hoodie, he's considered a tech genius?" Well, because of racism was the obvious answer, right? But Prince actually responded to Van saying, "Yeah, but also it's on us that we haven't produced enough Black Mark Zuckerbergs." So Van got to work in creating our first iteration, and now we are the Tech and Innovation team at dream.org. Next slide, please. Now, who is behind making these opportunities happen for our communities? That would start with Kashif Wizard, who is our national director, aka our fearless leader. Then we have Michael Bernarding, who is our senior manager of tech entrepreneurship. You guys know me already, so I'll pass it over to Tasha, and she'll go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tasha Lawrence, and I am the Special Projects and Operation Manager. Welcome to each and every one of you. I am so excited you guys are all interested in upskilling yourself to get you a different position. So I wish you guys the best and good luck on the scholarship. I'll pass it to Stephen now.
Thank you, Tasha. My name is Stephen Johnson. I'm the Special Projects Manager at Dream.org's tech team. And I took the scholarship, or I received the scholarship before it was for climate in, I think, 2 years ago, and that propelled me on my tech career journey. So Edward's not the only one here that is successful after the scholarship. I'm going to pass it to Emmanuel.
Hey guys, my name's Emmanuel. I'm a digital campaigner with Dream.org. I work most closely with the tech team. So a lot of the digital communications that you see from us, emails, text, and whatnot, I'm working with our team behind the scenes to get you those. So happy to be here. Also happy to share some knowledge regarding the climate tech space and some career guidance. But yeah, without further ado, I'll pass it back to you, Alex.
Thanks, So let's get into the scholarship portion of the hour and provide an overview of it and point out some of the benefits. So the Dream.org's Climate Tech Career Pathway Scholarship Fund was made to empower untapped talent to enter the climate and sustainability landscape with a focus on climate tech. This includes many sectors like energy, manufacturing, agriculture, transportation, and infrastructure. It can range from positions like renewable energy technicians to carbon accountants and clean car engineers to green building professionals. We are aiming to elevate people from diverse backgrounds, positioning them to open more doors of opportunities and shaping a more inclusive future while also working to reduce negative environmental impacts. Next slide, please. So what are the benefits of taking advantage of this opportunity? It's free money. If awarded, we are providing $3,500 to help you boost your career. That's $3,500. That could help you with a couple of courses or certifications, not just one. Now, if awarded and you complete your course or certification, you now have a specific skill set that sets you apart from others. It allows you to keep advancing in your career. It shows that you are striving for more. Now, this opportunity is here to help industries be more diverse and inclusive. We want to make sure you are represented and inspired, but also help represent and inspire the next generation. It inspires Black and Brown communities to say, if they can do it, I can do it too. Now, once you're a dreamer, you're always a dreamer. You will be part of our extended family where we will provide you with continued resources and support. Now, if awarded and you complete your course or certification, you will open up more high demand industries opportunities as well. Next slide, please. Now, you may be asking, what is, climate tech and why is there a big focus on it all of a sudden? So climate tech for this cycle is any tech that focuses on reducing greenhouse gases or addresses the impacts of global warming. So for example, the positions we mentioned earlier, which were renewable energy technicians, carbon accountants, clean car engineers, and green building professionals. Now, the focus on it is due to the big investment the government has enacted within the IRA. That's the Inflation Reduction Act. This investment is $369 billion. This is going to infrastructures, which leads to job creation and a demand for these positions. So we have to get ahead of this and upskill ourselves to fill these positions. As they say, you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. So it's always useful to keep learning new skills. Next slide, please. Now, the applicants that we support are those that are in pursuit of a qualified climate tech sector certification, college degree, or other within 6 months of the award. Also, enrolled in a qualified climate tech sector certification, college degree, or other, or who has completed a qualified climate tech sector certification, college degree, or other in the last year. Next slide, please. Now, what course, certification, or training qualifies? It should be offered by an accredited academic institution, such as a technical training program, community college, or a 4-year university. An accredited organization that is acknowledged as best in class. I do want to note that if you are selected, to receive the award, you will need to provide proof of the course or certification or training that you'll be taking, currently in, or have completed. So if you are not sure that your course, certification, or training qualifies, you can always email me to make sure. Next slide, please. Now, who's eligible to apply? So anyone over the age of 18, anyone who has a climate tech and sustainability focus, who is interested in going into this space or already is in it, but furthering their education. While all are encouraged to apply, priority will be given to underrepresented individuals, particularly members of Black, Latinx, Native American, and Native Alaskan communities. Next slide, please. Now, tips for your application. So this is vital for your application to stand out. So please do your research. Explore various training programs, universities, and climate accelerators. Compare the options and choose the one that best aligns with your career goals and interests. We have a couple listed here that could assist you on your journey. Now, no worries about capturing all this information. We will be sharing all of what was covered today in a follow-up email. Now, for your short answer portion of the application, please be sure to really deep dive into showing your passions for the climate and sustainability sector. So share any strengths and weaknesses, as well as any leadership and communication skills about your career journey. Show us your focus. I want to do X and Y in the climate sustainability sector because Z. So please share your story, journey, and how the scholarship can help you and your community. Ask yourself, how will you give back? Now you have up to 200 words for your short answers. And I'm going to say this again. This is the most important part of the application, so please make it count. Next slide, please. Now I want to bring up to the stage one of our special guests, Edward Diaz, a scholarship recipient who will share his tech to climate journey, as well as any tips to submit a strong application. Go ahead, Edward.
Hey, everybody. I'm gonna give you a quick background about myself. My name is Edward Diaz, born and raised in New York City. First in my family, my community to go to college, graduated with a degree in finance, worked on Wall Street for a few years, started my own company. And a couple bad decisions led to a stint in federal prison where I did 5 years. And I was released in 2021. Once I was like back in society and I'm out, I wanted to do something positive with my life and like reach into my passions. And one of the things I was most passionate about is biking. And being in New York City, I started noticing all the city bikes everywhere. So I was like, you know what? That's a perfect place for me to try to, start a career and get a, like get back in the groove of things. So I started working for City Bike in New York City as a bicycle repair man and just inspecting bikes and fixing them. This was in early 2021. And soon after, the city kept expanding more and more bikes, more bike lanes, less cars. But as we kept expanding, the bikes started changing. It went from your regular pedal bikes to now being more of a form of transportation. So we have more commuter bikes, e-bikes, and with that came a tech problem. You can't repair these anymore with just grit. You have to know the technology behind it. So I decided, hey, I need to upskill. So I went and I signed up for a couple coding boot camps, and in one in particular, I met Steven Johnson, who told me all about dreams.org and told me, hey, you should check it out. They have this real cool scholarship. So I did that. I came, shared my story. I applied, was blessed to get the opportunity and get the scholarship. But when I was awarded the award, I still was in the software engineering boot camp. So I wasn't able to take the Terra.do cohort. I'm actually going to start that in March coming up. But I was able to actually use some of the funds to upskill and take some courses in Coursera. I got my Google Data Analytics certificate and a Salesforce professional certificate, which I was actually able to combine and use to actually land my first tech job, which actually I just got 2 weeks ago. So, and of course, that's all because of dreams. But now that I have my foot in the door, and the goal is to continue to upskill in tech, and to once I get a little more education within climate, combine it together to find a way to actually continue to improve, to lower the carbon emissions and greenhouse gases that all these cars are polluting these major cities, especially in New York City. Yeah, that's my story. I'm using these funds and I've used the funds to upskill, get my first job in tech, and to hopefully marry that together to improve the bike share system in New York City and in other major cities as well. My advice for all you participants is, be specific, share your story. Don't wait to the last minute to submit this application. Do it as soon as possible. And yeah, and best of luck. And I hope Dreams changes your guys' trajectory and future just like it has to me. And with that, I pass it over to Alex.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Edward. Really appreciate that story and, for giving back to your community and really inspiring others that look like us to enter these sectors. So really appreciate it. Now, I want to go ahead and ensure that, everybody knows our timeline. So just to let you know, we will be having a second session with different guest speakers at the end of the month. So you are more than welcome to come back and attend or, even share it with your friends. So definitely welcome to come back then. Now, the application deadline is March 8th at midnight Pacific Standard Time. Right after that, the selection process begins. And if you are selected, you will then receive an email notification to begin the acceptance process. This is sometime between March and April. Now, if you are selected, the acceptance process, like the quicker that you complete all your steps, the quicker that you will receive your funds. But usually it's between April and May. Now, next slide, please. I want to encourage you to not just stop after applying with us, but to continue looking for other scholarship opportunities. Now, the list provided here is great. It even breaks it down by categories, such as LGBTQ+, minorities, those with disabilities, etc. So it's a very great resource. The more debt that you can avoid, the better. Trust me, student loans are not fun. Now, if you haven't applied yet to our scholarship program, please do so as soon as possible. The deadline is March 8th and fast approaching. Please stay informed on all things dream.org, by following us on social media, making sure you're signed up to receive our newsletter, and then we also have a Slack community as well. Now, feel free to contact me with any questions. They don't even have to be specific to the scholarship fund either. We want to be a resource for any of the initiatives. So you may want to be part of, our justice initiative or Green for All initiative. So we're here to help in any way that we can and point you in the right direction. Now, all right, so that's all from me. Now you will be hearing from our digital organizer, Emmanuel, who will take us into scholarship use cases. Take it away, Emmanuel.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, so I think one of the biggest benefits of our scholarship opportunity here is the flexibility and the different ways that you can use the scholarship. Can folks hear me okay? Make sure my audio is coming through. Cool. So over the next few slides, we're going to be talking about just a few different ways that you can use the scholarship to your advantage. So first and foremost, I'd like to start by talking about climate tech accelerators. These are organizations that hold these programs. They're typically about 12 weeks long, and they're really made to kind of explore and go over the field of climate sustainability. So that, let's say you have an existing skill set that you're trying to apply in the climate field, or you're trying to figure out where you might be interested in developing a skill set and starting a starting point for your career journey. These programs provide a lot of versatility and go over, basically the entire industry. We've worked with all of these different organizations: Climate Base, Climate Vine, and Terra.do. They each offer their own different programs with, pluses and minuses depending on what you're looking for. For example, if you're focusing more on kind of climate community building, and entrepreneurship, I direct you towards Climate Fine. If you're looking for a more comprehensive kind of overview of the climate sustainability space, and industries that may not necessarily fall cleanly within climate tech, for example, communications work within the climate space, I direct you to Climate Base. If you're looking for more of a technical upskilling, specifically, the electrical side of things and more technical upskilling, I direct you towards Terra. So one of the things we always like to do is encourage folks to, make their own decisions, do the research, see which programs work best for you. And then I guess the last thing is that a lot of these programs really are right under $2,000. So I think Climate Base and Terra.do are both $1,990. So $1,990. So if you're interested in taking one of those programs, that's an example of a fully covered use case of the scholarship. Moving on, we also like to talk about traditional tech companies within the climate tech space. So Alex kind of went over what climate tech is. Basically, any technology used to help mitigate the effects of climate change, but also the emission of greenhouse gases. So as you might imagine, there is a wide array of different roles and opportunities that fall under this category. A lot of these tend to be kind of traditional tech roles, so like software development, data analysis, just for climate companies who are trying to build and expand and create platforms and analyze data. So that's just another example of a use case for our scholarship. Let's say you're pursuing a more traditional kind of software engineering role. You can or one of the covered use cases of our scholarship. Our scholarship does cover that use case. So it's not strictly, like you have to go take a solar panel installation class, right? Let's say you want to just do a software boot camp or data analysis boot camp for the purposes of eventually entering the climate sustainability field. That is an option that's available to you as well. One of the roles that I wanted to highlight that I've been kind of talking about a lot recently is solar consulting. This is essentially a sales role within the climate sustainability space. And it is really working with stakeholders and potential clients and educating them about the different benefits of solar energy and working with them to figure out a solution that meets their demands. According to our partners at Indeed, solar consultants have seen really significant rise in demand, with job postings growing almost 113% between March 2019 and March 2022. One of the great things about this role and why I've been talking about it recently is because it has a lower barrier to entry. So if you are looking to enter the climate sustainability field with this a little bit lower barrier of entry, here's a perfect option for you. The national average is reported by our partners at Indeed for this role is about $1,900,000 a year. I always have problems with like 19 numbers for some reason. And then a lot of these positions are kind of commissions based, right? So there's room to grow that salary. So the TLDR is, we talked a little bit about the IRA and just the massive investment that the government is making into this clean energy transition. And so there's going to be solar panels. There's going to be a need for people who know how to install these, and we'll talk about in the next slide. But there's also going to be need for people who need to sell them, right? And work with people to figure out what they need and all of those things. So here's a great role if you're looking to make money, but you want a little bit lower barrier of entry. Now, if you're looking for a little bit more technical role, let's say you already have some kind of experience in kind of electrical engineering, or you're looking to build that experience there. You can also look at photovoltaic technicians, people who install the solar panels. This is one of the fastest growing occupations in the country, as reported by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, almost growing as quickly as the nursing occupations. There's going to be a ton of roles that open up. And I think one of our team members will speak to this a little bit later, but part of the work that we're doing through Transformative Communities is the initiative that what we're calling it, is working with local communities to help build these plans for solar panels and EV charging stations. Solar panels are a huge component of that. So we're already doing this work. You can see like we're already trying to help direct some of the government funding into these communities that historically have been excluded from these wealth transitions. And so you can join that by being a part of the transition through learning how to be a PV installer. That is it from me. So without further ado, I will pass it to our amazing partner, Leonard, CEO of Green Jobs Network. I think I reached out to him over email and he called me and he was just like, I have more things to give you. I have more opportunities to put you on. And I was like, this guy's a keeper. So yeah, he's gonna oh, and he's also created he can talk a little bit about it later, but he leveraged AI, the recent boom of large language models to create a climate and sustainability career consultant. So anyway, I'll pass it over to you, Leonard. Take it away.
Great. Thanks so much. And can folks hear me all right? Great. So just want to thank everyone who is here in attendance. Definitely hats off to you for taking the time and really appreciate that. And I definitely want to give a big thanks to dream.org for having me here. I'm a big fan of the organization, have been for many years, and I'm also in particular really excited to be with you for this particular program. And I'll mention kind of a little briefly why. So the overview, I'm going to go through a few items. I'm going to talk about big picture and then ways Green Jobs Network can help you in the context of your application. In particular, I'm excited to be with you today because I myself was the recipient of scholarships to go to college. I grew up in a low-income family in New York City. We were on food stamps, a lot of difficulties, and a scholarship really opened up my economic opportunity and pathways. So it really was transformative scholarship. I ended up going to undergrad. I got a master's degree, ended up going to law school. And so to be with you, and I'm just so excited about this scholarship opportunity because as the prior speakers have been talking about, clean tech, climate change, sustainability, clean energy, these are growing fields. And so to open up these pathways to people, I think is really great. And again, hopefully I'll be able to add some more to everything that you're learning today. So some of the things I did at law school was to work on issues relating to poverty. And I've worked in different sectors. I've worked in law, worked in business. This is an organization I work for that promotes equal justice. And in particular, I've run Green Jobs Network now for more than a decade. And its core mission is to connect people to jobs, career resources, and community. And just to give you a sense, I've worn a lot of different hats. And as, again, Manuel was speaking to it, there are a lot of different ways you can use skills to be a part of this field. So I've done everything from use digital skills to event skills. And this is an example of a job fair I put on in Berkeley more than a decade ago. So that's enough about me. So now we're going to go into the core parts of what I want to cover. And these are really kind of large themes in this big picture section, and then tangible ways that Green Jobs Network can help you. So a couple things. So definitions. So already what's been gone over are specific definitions around climate tech. And what I'm going to go over is not meant to change any of that. And you need to check with dream.org in the context of your application. But what I do want to mention is that there are a lot of different definitions around terms like climate tech or clean tech or climate change. And so is to just make sure you're aware that there are different definitions out there. And in the context of what you're looking for to maybe do your homework, look at those things. It may trigger some thoughts, ideas in terms of pathways for you. So this is one example. This is actually from an article that's on the NASDAQ site where they describe climate tech as technologies and services that enable decarbonization of the global economy. If you open up each of those 5 boxes, they'll go into a lot more detail. Energy is clean energy, energy storage, and so forth, transportation, and things like that. So this one actually is also a nice chart. So this is from CTVC, and they cover a lot of things regarding startups and funding in climate tech. So as you see here, transportation can cover a lot of different areas, right? Think about electric vehicles, electric vehicle charging stations, batteries, and so forth. Energy, everything from storage to different kinds of clean energy. When you're thinking about food and land, lots of different things there. Even industry, there's efforts underway to try to create decarbonized cement, other aspects of things, the built economy, as well as things like carbon removal. So there are a lot of different kinds of definitions. And so I just would encourage you to kind of, do your research, look out there, find out things that ideally resonate with you. So in terms of themes mentioned, we're kind of in this big picture section. So first part was definitions. This next part is really, if I would say, if there's one thing you take away from my comments here with you today, is that there's a place for you in this space. I've been in this field for a long time. And I've seen people, lots of different interests in different sectors, different skills they have, passions they have. They find ways to make their way in this space. And again, it's a growing field. So to illustrate this with just one slide, which is a tough thing to do, this is just a snapshot, right? So this is from the federal government. They do this workforce analysis within electric power generation. And it does include some things that aren't only clean energy, but it does cover a lot of clean energy. Just to give you a sense about the different kinds of roles, right? So there's everything from sales roles, I think Emmanuel was speaking that earlier, management roles, admin roles, installation roles, manufacturing roles, all kinds of different opportunities that are there. And there's not just one role there. So really, there's a place for you in the space. Then the last theme in the context of big picture I want to leave you with is this notion of being optimistic, but also realistic. And so big picture, if you're thinking about, applying for the scholarship, being part of this field, I would say you're really smart, because from a positioning yourself in your career, in general, it's good to be parts of fields that are growing rather than fields that are contracting. And big picture, this field is growing. At the same time, it's important to have a reality check. The lines don't just go up and, like this. There can be lots of different transitions that take place as sectors grow and evolve. So to keep your feet on the ground and have that reality check. So briefly, a couple of slides, on this. When I first started doing this work, you really couldn't buy an electric vehicle. And now, obviously, it's part of the future and it's here with us now. So when I describe macro growing trends, this is kind of one illustration where now there's millions of vehicles being sold electric. There's jobs behind these numbers as well. Same thing around renewable energy. The cost of deploying solar has been dropping. It's more and more affordable. What happens as a result of that? Guess what? More and more solar is getting deployed, right, throughout the economy, and there's jobs behind that. And again, Emmanuel was giving examples of very specific career occupations. And again, taking things long-term trends, 10 plus years ago, amount of energy being generated from clean energy sources around 10%. Now it's a quarter and it's only going up. So again, there's jobs behind all these trends. And here in California, that's where I am right now. These trends are even obviously faster along right now. So mention realistic, in terms of being realistic, this is, I think, a useful chart to kind of help to quickly illustrate this, and that there is a lot of funding and money being invested, public sector, philanthropy, private sector, within climate and tackling climate change. For sure, that is the case. But if you look at startups, for example, last year, that number went down. Right. So the amount of new funding going to startups, dropped. And so doesn't mean there's not more startups, doesn't mean there's not a lot of funding. So it's still big picture, a growing field. But it's an example when I say you've got to keep that reality check on as you're in the space. This is a quick example. And then to go back to our optimistic, this just came out, article published about, was it 2 days ago? Right. So globally, $1.8 trillion was invested in global clean energy. That's a pretty big number, and that's pretty big growth. Great. So then the last part of things I want to just describe to you are ways that Green Jobs Network can practically help you in the context of your application. So a couple of things as you may be thinking about career pathways, what kind of educational programs, certification, and training, there's additional research that you can do, and Green Jobs Network is certainly here to help you. So one way is to kind of look at job listings. You can actually look at, would that be a job that I might be interested in doing now or after I get additional education and training? So Green Jobs Network both runs job boards, but then we also link out to lots of different job boards that are out there in the space. Places like investors that have portfolio companies that are in climate tech, they actually have aggregated job boards where you can look across their portfolio companies and at a glance see hundreds of jobs. So again, there's quick links to that, through the Green Jobs Network website. Other thing, if you want to kind of think about what occupations are in high demand right now in the space or are projected to be, we have links to lots of different workforce studies that are being done statewide, federal, that gives you flavors of that. So this is just kind of a quick snapshot of that, another quick snapshot of that. And again, data regarding what kinds of occupations and what's happening within the space. So again, you can find all these reports through the website. Other things we have, and this is kind of more national, Each of those pins represent a manufacturing facility where there's announced investment taking place within, broadly speaking, I would say climate tech, so clean energy, energy storage, or EV manufacturing. So you can browse through this wherever you are thinking about want to be and look at what potential opportunities there are. Last thing or two, Green Jobs Network now is a dedicated website just around education and training resources that may be useful for you. Examples of things you can find there. There's lots of different charts and flow charts that illustrate different pathways within different aspects of clean energy. So this is just a quick example of one of them. Also helping you understand all the different certifications, again, for different kinds of occupations, links to articles, for example, that kind of demystify and explain some of that for you. And then also through the website, you can find lots, different education and training providers. So if you're thinking about courses and so forth, in addition to the ones that are even discussed, you can find a number of them on the website. In addition to both online, there's also a lot of in-person education and training within this space. This is an example in Massachusetts. You can quickly get access to that through the site. Same thing in New York State. This is one specifically around wind. And then lastly, Green Jobs Network, has lots of ways to help you just stay current. There's so much news. There's so many things happening, from job fairs, events, and so forth. Green Jobs Network is here to help you try to stay on top of all the great things that are happening in our space. And then for a lot of the things I just went over on one of the Green Jobs Network websites, we have a climate hub, climate career hub, that has links to all these things. And also the Climate Jobs AI that Emmanuel is kind enough to mention, which has like an AI powered career coach, for your use for free. In fact, so that's it. I really appreciate your time, and I'm going to pass it over to Stephen now.
Thank you so much, Leonard, for sharing your time and expertise for this session. I'm going to drop it in the chat. They probably put it in a bunch of places, but there's a link right there to look at everything that he was just talking about. And it's my pleasure to introduce Yuri. She is the Green for All national organizer at dream.org.
Hello, thank you, Stephen, and the climate team for inviting me. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Hello again. My name is Yuri, serving as the Green for All national organizer at dream.org. I currently live in Oakland, California, but I was born and raised in the Bronx. New York City is in the house. With 13 years of experience as a community organizer, I previously held the role as Director of Community Engagement and Policy for Mayor Tao's administration here in Oakland. Organizing serves as a crucial tool for community building, fostering enduring and impactful relationship with leaders. To affect change and empower our communities, it's imperative to equip our leaders with change and resources and tools to thrive. This year at Dream, we have several exciting opportunities to collaborate with us. Firstly, we have our Justice Next cohort, sponsored by the NBA Foundation, that has launched today, offering organizing tools for young adults between the ages of 18 and 24 that are located in the Sacramento area. Additionally, in Green for All, we're creating a Green for All Federal Advisory Council, focusing on leadership development, organizing trainings, advocacy, and advancing green initiatives such as Defend the IRA. Lastly, we're launching the Dream Fellowship in May, providing in-person and virtual opportunities for training and organizing, storytelling, fundraising, and more. If any of these opportunities interest you, please feel free to reach out to me via email. I'll put it in the chat, and I'll be delighted to have a one-to-one conversation with you. Thank you again, and now I'll pass it to Alex.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Yuri. I really want to say a big thank you to you, Leonard and Edward, for speaking today. That was like really, really great information that you all have shared, so really, really appreciate it. Now, it's time for the grand finale. This is the time for Q&A. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to drop it in the chat or come off mute, but you're welcome to ask any one of us any questions.
This is William from People of Purpose from Palm Beach County. My first question is this the same scholarship that was given out a couple of months ago that we just put the applications in?
So this is the newest cycle. Yeah. William, I believe you were awarded last cycle. And I did see your application for this new cycle. And we've been, communicating via email. So yeah, just wanted to clarify, this is the brand new cycle.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, just to clarify, we usually try to have like 2 cycles in a year. So usually around February, March is when we launch it. And yeah, it extends to like the summer or so. This one was just a lot sooner. We moved it up a little bit. But yeah, just know that we usually have 2 cycles within the year. The next cycle will more than likely start in August or so. Yeah, go ahead. B Pipes, go ahead.
Hey Alex, with that being said, can are y'all accepting if you've gotten it in the past? Because this is gonna be my second time applying.
Yeah. We don't have any rules against that. So you can apply as many times for each cycle. We've actually had a couple of people who have been awarded 2 or 3 times already. So
Okay,
yeah, it's always good to reapply.
okay, thank you.
Thanks, Anton. I really do appreciate all the work that you do in your community as well. Thank you for that shout out.
About how many applicants do you guys receive a cycle, and how many do you accept, like the percentage of awardees?
Yeah, honestly, it varies from cycle to cycle depending on how much we get from the partner. So for this cycle, this is the first time that Indeed has sponsored a scholarship cycle. So for this one, they set the number at 50 awards. In the past, we've done, like 100, 200. But it just really all depends on the partner. But for this cycle, it's 50. And as far as applications, it can range, man, let's see. I think our last cycle we reached up to 400, 500 applications. And last cycle was also 50 as well that we awarded. It's a
All right,
lot of
thank you.
applications that I have to sift through. But yeah, like the more the merrier, honestly. Awesome. I see there's a question in the chat. So, hey, Mike, thank you so much for your question. As someone who's transitioning into the renewable energy industry, does Dream.org offer counseling to help identify training roles to pursue for those not familiar with the industry? So we don't have anything like set in stone, but like I mentioned, we are a convener. So we actually have a lot of contacts, and we can always, try to help you with whatever it is that you're needing. So yeah, just email me, and we can try to see, who we can pair you up with within our network to provide some counseling within that industry. Yeah, no problem, Mike. Awesome. Any other questions? Going once, going twice.
Hi.
There we go.
I just have one question on, are there opportunities on like research and funding to going into communities to provide the transition into more sustainability options? It's just a general question too.
General question. Are you maybe saying that, maybe using the scholarship to fund research projects? Is that where you're kind of leaning towards, or?
Yeah, leaning towards more on that.
Yeah, this is more, again, it all depends on the partner. So the partner specified that it has to be like courses, or certifications, some sort of upskilling. But I believe there might be a chance to explore that a little bit more with our Green for All team. As Emmanuel mentioned, we have that transformative communities project where we're helping people basically, get funding to be able to do infrastructure. So I think the research portion would definitely be beneficial. So same thing for you. Go ahead and email me and we can try to pair you up with somebody that could assist you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions? All right. Well, if you do have questions after the fact, you're welcome to email me. And I drop my email in the chat. It's alejandra@dream.org. And, welcome to help you with anything. Like I said, we kind of have, some context, so we're able to help you with anything that you need, pair you up with anybody that could help. And yeah, we're here to help. Thank you all so much. Y'all have a good night.